Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Ask Coffee, School of Culinary Arts. My name is Chef Caesar, and today I want to show you guys how easy it is to make some fresh pasta. I know that sometimes people think that making fresh pasta is very complicated, but it's not. The first thing you want to do is pick the right flour. I got some semolina flour. This is, the king of the flours when it comes to making fresh pasta dough. But if you can't find semolina, use bread flour or even all-purpose flour. You're looking for a high gluten flour, which means that it has a high protein content, and the gluten is found in wheat and other grains, and it's made up of two proteins, gluten and gliadin, which when combined, when you add water or moisture to the flour, they bind together. That's what gluten is. So it's very elastic, and so let's get going here. You're going to see that there's only a few ingredients that go into making a pasta dough. So I got some semolina flour. I want to dump this into my bowl here. You want to make a little well. I also got some just a little pinch of salt. Okay, dump it in there. I got about 3 teaspoons of olive oil. Okay, you want to dump it in there. It's about 4 ingredients, to be honest with you. So this is something really simple to make. I got 5 eggs. Okay, you want to use a whole egg. Whip them a little bit. Okay. If you want to do this in your bench, okay, it's okay. But sometimes if the well is not big enough, it's gonna break and it makes a big mess. So it's easy to start mixing this in the bowl, and then you transfer this into your bench to knead the dough. So we're gonna start kind of going from the center. Use your hands. It's okay. Being the chef, you're gonna learn that when your items or whatever you're making is done by the way it feels, the way it looks, the way it smells, and that's something that you're gonna learn. But right now, let's mix this together really nice. Once this starts coming together, you're gonna know. And then we're gonna transfer this into the bench to knead the dough. And that's how we're going to develop gluten. Okay, so gluten is developed by adding moisture and also by kneading the dough. So semolina looks like a cornmeal, but it's very fine. It's a little bit feels grainy if you rub it between your fingers. It's not as fine as flour. Okay, so but this is what is used to make pasta. But again, if you can't find it, sometimes it might be hard to find. Use just regular bread flour, even all-purpose flour. It's also known as AP flour, which stands for all-purpose. So it's gonna look a little bit dry, okay? And when it comes to making this dough, if you think that's a little bit too dry, add a few drops of water. If it's too wet, moist, add a little more flour. It's not gonna kill it, okay? Okay. So once it comes together, see a little dry flour on the bottom, so you want to make it so it's sticking, so we can transfer this to our cutting board, to our bench, to really knead it really nice. And that's the key, to knead the dough until it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to show you. You're going to know when it's ready to be left alone. I like to do it by hand. You can use a little mixer with a dough hook, but you know what? I like to do it by hand because food's actually kind of talking to you, right? Like this dough, when it's ready to be left alone, you're going to know, right? So it's coming together. It looks a little bit dry, but this is going to be perfect. Okay, see that? Look at this, it's almost there. We're going to transfer this into our bench. I'm also going to make a nice Alfredo sauce. You're going to see how easy it is to make this nice pasta dough. Okay, now it's good. See that? Now we're going to put it in here. Now the key is to really knead this dough really nice to develop the gluten. You want to do it with this part of your hand. If it feels a little bit too wet, you can put a little more flour here so it's not too sticky, right? If for some reason you got it too dry, add a few drops of cold water. You want to kind of push it back and fold it, right? 90 degree and do it again, right? And if it feels a little too moist, kind of rub your hands with little flour to kind of remove some of the dough that sticks to your hands. Okay. And it might feel a little bit sticky first, right? A little bench scraper here too. You can kind of scrape this off the bench to kind of Okay, see. You want to do this for about 10 to 15 minutes, and I want to show you what it looks like once it's nice and smooth. It's going to be springy. If you press down with your fingers, it's going to bounce right back up. So I made one already this morning, and I let it relax, because you want to let it relax. You don't want to roll this out right away, because it's going to break. You need to develop the gluten really nice before you can start rolling it out. Otherwise, it's just going to rip, and we don't want that. Okay, this should be good now. You want to kind of fold it, right? And it feels kind of hard right now, right? But once you start working this, it becomes nice and soft and springy. It also has like a nice yellow color. You're now gonna get this color if you use it like a regular bread flour, because it's very white. But when you're using semolina, it has like a yellow color, like cornmeal type of thing, right? So you want to fold it in, push down. It's a little bit of work out, right? But like I say, I'd like to do it by hand. If you want to do it with a machine, that's okay. You want to do this for about 10 minutes. And you're going to feel this. It's going to start to get nice and soft too. You can also do it just on your counter, okay? You don't have to use a cutting board. Sometimes it's better just to do it right on the counter. But I also want to show you guys, if you don't have one of these machines to roll your pasta out and cut it, you can do it with your knife. I mean, you don't have to have fancy tools, right? When you're a chef, you can get it down with just your knife and, an old rolling pin, right? So you want to continue to knead this until it becomes nice and smooth. If you see like this rough, you want to go a little more, right? You want to kind of fold it in and push down. What we're doing here, we're developing the gluten, right? That's what we want. We want our dough to be very, to stretch, not to break when we're rolling it out, right? You can see it's starting to get a little smooth here on the surface. So you want to keep going a few more minutes. And one of the things you want to do, once you knead the dough, you want to let it relax, right? Because you want the starches to soak up the moisture, also the gluten to develop. If you can do it like overnight, it's better. But at least you want to relax, your dough for at least 2 hours, right? So when you come back and roll it out, it's not going to break on you, right? You see? And once it's ready, if you press down with your fingers, it kind of bounces back up, right? So that's a sign that you're almost there, right? See? It gets kind of springy and it's getting smooth. So you want to have a really nice smooth surface. So I could go like another 4 minutes or so, but since we're kind of short on time, I want to show you what I have here. So at this point, you want to wrap it with some plastic wrap so it doesn't dry up. So I got this that I made last night. And once you want to put this in your refrigerator, so you kind of put it in a Ziploc bag like this. Once it's nice and smooth, you can see again how it bounces back up, right? So it takes about 10 minutes to get it really nice. Now you want to put this in a bag right? And then you can store in the cooler, right? If you have time to leave it overnight, that's what I did, and it actually works better that way. So once you have your dough like this, it's very soft, right? I mean, now we're gonna take this and cut it into 4 pieces. So we're gonna start rolling it out, right? Make sure you cut it into little 4s. So that's what we got there. Put one aside. And again, if you have one of these pasta machines, I mean, you can use it. Otherwise, you know, do it all the way with a rolling pin. Even if you have one of these machines, you want to roll your pasta a little bit. Otherwise, if you try to force it through the machine, you might, you know, get stuck in there. You don't want this. So I'm going to put this to the side here. Okay. Start rolling this out with a rolling pin. And you're going to see that your dough is going to start to like fight you. When you see that it's not, it's kind of pulling back again, you can let it, you know, relax, go to work on another piece, and then you come back to that one, right? You want to get it to about 1/4 inch thick with your rolling pin, right? Like this. See how it kind of pulls back? If you were to wash all the starch from this dough, you can rinse it. I mean, and then end up with like the gluten. It's like a rubber band. If you pull it, it doesn't rip. It's like, you know, pulling a rubber band. It just kind of stretches and comes back again. That's what it looks like. Okay, so see this? Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna put this aside. Put a little so it doesn't stick. Then you take another one. Okay, and you do the same thing. I'm also gonna get some water going here because I'm gonna show you guys how to cook this. I mean, cooking fresh pasta, it only takes a minute or so. It's really quick. See that? See? If you think your dough is a little bit too sticky, if it sticks to your rolling pin, you know, just sprinkle a little flour, and that's gonna do the job, right? Okay. Now I'm gonna put this to the side here and do another one. Now at this point, you can start putting your pasta to this machine, right? So you're gonna put it in the biggest setting, which is number 7. And you wanna kinda just drop it in there, right? And it's a little bit tricky when you're working with these machines for the first time, so you have to kind of go slow here, and it's gonna drop down there. See that? These are nice to have. If you are able to get one of these, it's cool. Then you wanna put a little flour here so it doesn't stick to the rollers here. You wanna kind of go to setting one more, put it down like, you know, to a 5 or a 6, so it keeps getting, you know, thinner. You kind of put it in there. See that? You don't want to go from like a high setting to a very low because it's going to break the dough. You want to kind of roll it out one number at a time. And then it just drops down here. See? Well, it starts to get big, right? If it gets too long, you can also, you know, cut it in half so you don't have like a huge piece to work with. You know, fettuccine, I'm doing fettuccine today, should be about, you know, 8 to 10 inches long, right? So I can cut this in half and still have a nice big piece, right? Okay. There we go. See that? I'm just going to cut it in half now so I can, you know, keep rolling this out. It'll be easy to handle, right? Take one piece. I'm going to When you're done with this rolling this pasta, you want to have it, you should be able to see your hand right through, because what happens if it's not, you know, very thin, when you put it in the water, the starches will soak up a lot of water, right? This pasta has a lot of starch, and that's going to get very thick, and you don't want that. You want to have a very thin pasta, otherwise it gets too lumpy, right? So here we go. See how it stretches really nice. Maybe one more time. Okay. So I'm gonna do this piece too. Okay. Let this set in. See that? It's very, very easy to do. And you want to make sure that you have plenty of flour when you roll the pasta sheets to the machine so they don't stick and they rip. You wanna, it's very delicate, okay? See there? Beautiful. One more, changes one more down here. And then this is gonna be pretty much it, right? See? Maybe two. And as you can see now, see, you can see like my hands right through. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can see your hands. If you put your hands on it, you can actually see, you know, your hands right in there. So you're gonna set this aside. See how big piece? So we're gonna do this other one, right? And then we're gonna be ready to cut this. See there? And there's also a die right here to cut your pasta. But if you don't have a machine like this, I mean, you can do it with your knife. Okay, so right now I'm gonna, you know, cut this in half again because it's really long. You see how big it gets? So this is good. Cut them in half, and make sure you put enough flour in there so they don't stick together. You don't want to do all the work and then, you know, end up with your pasta all stuck like this ends. It was getting stuck. See that? So okay, so this is what we got there. I'm also going to crank my water out here. And I'm also going to be making the sauce. At this point, I mean, you can get your water going, right? When you're like cooking pasta, it's important you get your water really salty. This should be like, you know, seawater salty, right? So plenty of salt there. Okay, it's going to get boil really nice. I'm also going to be making a nice sauce over here. So when I, you know, start making an Alfredo sauce. If you guys think this is hard, it's not. It's very easy. So I got some butter in there. Now that I'm going to be cutting my pasta a little bit, start melting the butter in here. And it's going to be a really nice sauce here. So coming back to this pasta here, now we got, you know, we can cut it. There's a die right here, one for fettuccine and one for spaghetti. So we're going to cut this, right? Make sure that we have plenty of flour here so our fettuccine doesn't stick together. And this is going to drop, okay, when you do this. Okay, it's just going to drop there. Gotta keep an eye. See there? Okay, now we have some nice, see? Beautiful. Here, I'm going to start adding some garlic here. I like garlic in my sauce, so add a little garlic in there. Okay. You want to just, you know, infuse the flavor. Got some heavy cream. Okay. So we're going to reduce this. I mean, I got some heavy whipping cream here. That's what it is. So we need to reduce that down to net paste. So let it go. So you could be multitasking. See, our water is almost ready. I'm going to cut up this other piece right here. You see? I mean, if you want, you can cut up your pasta first and then do the sauce later so you're not, you know, going all different directions. Okay, so here we're going to cut this. Okay, it's going to start to go through like this. Look. And one thing to remember, make sure that you put a lot of this semolina here when you cut them. So when you, when your pasta is kind of holding here, it's not going to stick, okay? And even if you put a lot of, you know, flour, when you cook this, all this is going to fall down to the bottom of this pot, right? So no big deal. See this? It was almost sticking, so you got to be careful with that. So let's do one more. And you can also do this ahead of time and refrigerate your pasta, but you make sure that you put plenty of semolina flour, regular flour, so that your fettuccine doesn't stick back together. Otherwise, it will not look good. So you can make them into like a little nests and put them in a little tray, but make sure you put a lot of this flour, and then you can kind of make like a little portion like this, and then you can put them in the cooler, right? Another thing I was telling you guys that if you don't have a pasta machine, you can actually do this with your knife, right? Make sure that you put a lot of flour here. And we're going to fold this, right? Fold it into thirds, right? And use your knife, okay? So trim this out. Should be about, you know, 1/4 inch. here. Take your knife here. See that? So you don't need a machine. I mean, if you get a rolling pin, you want to roll it out really nice. Then you fold it like this. Okay. Take your knife and cut this into your fettuccine shape, right? And then you just come here and kind of fold it like this. Just shake it up, and it should come apart, right? This one's got to find the end. See how it pulls apart really easy. So make sure you do that right away. Should have more flour in there. But again, just fold it really lightly so it doesn't stick, because this is very sticky. So, see that? Yes, we have a question here. Some. I can get you a vegan recipe for pasta. Yes, of course. So this is okay. If you could just fold them in half, it'd be easier to. That way you don't have to like do this, because this is very thin. So you can see how if you pull them apart really quick, it's very easy, and you got a nice bundle of noodles here. See, it's almost the same size. So when you have some your knife skills, use your knife, and everything will work fine. So this is what we got. Nice bundle of pasta here. Okay. So here we go. Now that we have our sauce over here going, so we're going to reduce this until it's nappe. What does it mean, nappe? Okay, well, if you stick like a spoon in the sauce, you should have like a little thin coating, right? If you run your finger in the back, it's not going to run down, right? So this is almost there. And the reason you want to do this, you don't want to get it too thick, because when you put your pasta in the sauce, there's a lot of starch coming from the pasta. It might end up to be too heavy, so you don't want that. We're also going to be adding a little bit Parmesan cheese, which is going to make it a little thicker. So this is some grated Parmesan cheese. And I like to use the one that comes in a wedge. Try to avoid the stuff that comes in a can already grated. And the reason being, they add like a starch, a cellulose, so it doesn't stick together. But that kind of leaves your sauce kind of lumpy, right? And you want to have a beautiful, nice, and smooth sauce when you're done with this. So this is almost there. So we're going to lower this. And our water should be boiling here for our pasta, right? So this is boiling really nice. Now we're going to dump this in there. Okay. And this one is it's only going to take a minute here to cook, right? So you dump it in there. Okay. See that? See? You're going to see that it's going to get a little curly, but again, if it's too thick, it's going to soak up a lot of moisture, so you don't want your noodles to be way too thick, and that doesn't look really good. So they should be nice and thin. Like I show you guys, you should be able to see your hand right through when you're rolling it out. Even with a rolling pin, it's going to take a little more work, but you can get it like that if you don't have a machine. Okay, see now? Pasta is almost ready to get out of the water. I'm going to drain this. See? You don't want to overcook it, otherwise it gets all sticky. Okay. You want to make sure you drain your pasta really nice. Now we're going to toss this in the sauce. See, the sauce is nice and smooth. It's not too heavy. So we're going to add some more pasta. Okay. Look at that. See those noodles? Really nice. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way so you guys can see that. Now we're going to toss our pasta in the sauce. I mean, you can have this wonderful dish in very short time. As long as you got everything ready to go. Look at that. You don't want your sauce to be way too heavy. You only want a nice coating to stick in the pasta. And you're going to see that if we leave this pasta in here for a little bit, the sauce becomes very thick because there's a lot of starch that comes out of the pasta, and that's really taking up the sauce too. So now we're going to plate a nice dish. Okay. Always remember to have some height, right? To do that, you want to kind of twist when you plate it. Twist your pasta like this and pull it up. So kind of build some height to your dish, right? See that? And you don't want to put way too much sauce. I mean, you don't want to see a pool sauce in the plate, right? Just whatever sticks to the pasta. that should be good enough. Now we're gonna wipe a plate now, nice and clean. Okay. Always make sure your plates, the rim of the plates, nice and clean. You want to top it off a little more cheese. Okay. You know what? I love fresh basil, so I got some fresh basil chopped up here. Had to keep it in the cooler so it stays nice and fresh. You know what? Look at that little shove in the basil. Oh my God, this is lovely. If you want some heat, add some pepper flakes. And you know what? I hope you guys enjoy this show this morning. It's fun. I wanted to try it. As you can see, it's very easy to do. Only a few ingredients. And I mean, there's a night and day difference between fresh and dry pasta. And you can do this. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.